We are at the start of hurricane season and the Caribbean preparing itself for an unusually early storm this year, with Tropical Storm Brett expected to bring some heavy rains to some of the islands. Our correspondent Rachel Knapp spoke with FEMA on this and how the agency is preparing for upcoming storms.
June kicks off hurricane season, and in a rare occurrence, eastern parts of the Caribbean are bracing for some early weather as Tropical Storm Brett is set to move in. Some meteorologists believe once it moves into the Caribbean later this week, it will weaken, but they expect heavy rains in the region.
FEMA is ready for this upcoming hurricane season.
We spoke with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, better known as FEMA, on how the agency is prepping for this season of storms.
We have people across the country, especially in those areas that are likely to be impacted, ready to go once those storms hit. We have a bunch of resources and commodities pre-positioned to be able to move once those storms pass.
FEMA says they work with their local partners as well as other federal agencies to be prepared for the upcoming storms. They also have 3 tips for people who live in hurricane, typhoon, or even tornado zones.
The first thing is to know your risk. It's easy to look at the map and say, oh, like this is where the cone says it's going to go, or this is where the map says it's going to go. But think about things like rainfall. When we think about Hurricane Ian, there was wind, there was storm surge, but it also dumped 20 inches of rain that led to intense flooding. So we want people to know what their individual risk is based on where they live.
The second piece of advice?
We also want people to know how they're going to get information. So we want people to go to trusted news sources like the folks I'm talking to today, but also go to things like the National Weather Service. FEMA also has an app that you can download right to your mobile device that can tell you emergency alerts if you need it.
And the third?
Make a plan. So, it's great if you have the information, it's great if you know your risk, but if you don't have a plan, it doesn't really mean anything.
FEMA says not every disaster is the same and recoveries do take time, but they are reassuring people that they will be there for as long as it takes. In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp.